This is the closing market report for Wednesday on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. On the phone right now with Bill Moore of Price Futures Group as we wrap up another day in the ag marketplace. Bill, we're in the middle of the week at this point. What have we seen going on in the grain and livestock markets?
Well, the biggest thing is a government shutdown, which means no information, although we did have export inspection yesterday and they were very good. With no information, that's kind of a negative for the markets because the exports were a big plus for the markets, and we got no flash sales every day, no export sales on Thursday, no WASDA report last week. So hopefully the government gets their act together and we start getting that information again, because without that, we're kind of flying blind. The next big thing is the Trump's posting on his social website every day. Lately now, he's threatening China with more tariffs so they don't buy our beans. It's going back and forth, but on the other hand, a moment later, he says he still looks forward to meeting with President Xi at the end of this month. So who's to say? I think we need to deal with China. I think he knows that. He's going to have to subsidize the farmers if he doesn't do a deal. So one way or the other, he's got to get something going, and I think it'll happen. The market seems to have tired of all the negative news. Maybe it's kind of in the market that maybe a trade deal won't happen. And it's certainly cheap enough, and it's been bounced around enough. It's not new news. The big crop is not new news. That's been bandied about for several months now. We're going to have a 16.5 or so crop with a 184, 185 yield, but less than what they said in November. And that's when the lows were made back in November for corn and beans. If you look at the charts, those highball numbers from the USDA established lows in corn and beans. You have two different situations. Corn is got plenty of supply, but demand is extremely good with Mexico buying almost every day. The beans have tight supplies, with the crop a lot the same as a year ago, but demand is suspect with China out of the market. So two different scenarios, but meanwhile, the harvest is about halfway done. The lows are put in at the halfway point, although I think, as I said earlier, they were put in back in August. I see the market consolidating, maybe trying to move higher. We did, again, have export news yesterday. Inspections were announced a day late. They were very good. It just seems like the market's cheap. The exports will come from these levels. The dollar has been down. Also, there's news from the Fed. They're going to lower interest rates. I think the big harvest is dialed in. Just feels like the market's going to muddle along and maybe start to grind higher when we get through harvest, which is about over 50% down or more in both corn and beans right now. Livestock-wise, market has a little correction today. The dichotomy between the cattle and the hogs is pronounced. Cattle is making new highs, record highs. Demand's still coming unbelievable at these levels. We had a $12 break in the market about a month ago. They bought that break up. We're past the demand period on Labor Day, but maybe looking forward to the holiday demand coming up with Thanksgiving and Christmas. People love their steaks. It seems like they like steaks and burgers more than pork chops. And therefore, the cattle is the upside leader. The feeder is really the upside leader, followed by the fats. And the third place is the pork. While the cattle is rallied hard in the last month, pork has dropped $10 or $11. Being the cheaper alternative in the supermarket, it's hard to figure. But the tariffs are hurting the pork exports to start with, and the consumer seems to prefer beef over pork. And so right now, the cattle is overbought, but continues to march higher most every day.
All right, Bill, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch for more market analysis and check out your newsletter, how can they do that?
630-947-5176, www.pricegroup.com. Check out my newsletter, Agmaster, www.pricegroup.com, the company website. Look at the bios of Jack Scoville and myself. We've both been here at Price a long time. We'd love to help you out.
That again was Bill Moore of Price Futures Group. We'll look at the numbers next.
In rural Iowa, you need reliable information. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network brings you ag-specific content like market trends, weather outlooks, and policy updates that matter to your operation, while your local station brings you community news and consistent updates on what is happening in your area. It's a partnership built for the challenges of rural life. Your farm, your local station, and your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters. Find us online at iowaagnet.com.
At the close, December corn up 3 3/4 at 4.16 3/4. November soybeans went unchanged at 10.06 1/2. December soybean meal up $1.60 at $2.7590. Soybean oil up 23 cents at $50.80. Chicago wheat down 1.5 at $4.98 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 1/4 cent at $4.88 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 2.5 at $5.51 even. December oats down 3.25 at $2.93 even. On the Merc, October live cattle up 35 cents at $242.17. October feeders down 45 cents at $379.72. December lean hogs up 45 cents at $83.60. Pork cutout went unchanged at $92 even. And October Class 3 milk down 7 cents at $16.85. That's been a check of the closing market prices. Thanks again to Bill Moore of Price Futures Group for joining us today here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters. I'm Riley Smith.